When I hit him with this whole 100 round.
It's Cody, guys. Hey guys, it's Amaan.
And this is Reyhan, and welcome to the Raj Pod.
Yep, we wanted to thank you for all your support and viewership in the last episode. It really motivates us to keep going.
Yeah.
And we've had some tough technical difficulties in the last couple days, so that's the reason the episode didn't come out on Thursday. But we have a new setup, kind of, so we got a new light back here, and we're ready to go now. So
yeah,
let's get into it. First, we want to go over the games on opening day, which is literally 2 weeks away. It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
So first, the early game on Tuesday. We got two games on Tuesday, December 22nd, and the first is the Golden State Warriors playing Brooklyn in Brooklyn.
Okay.
How do you think that's going to go?
I have a very strong opinion that the Nets are going to win this one because the Nets are overall a better team. Even with Kevin Durant and Kyrie coming off of an injury, I still think that they're going to be able to work it out. They're in training camps together, and I think they'll be fine against the Warriors without Klay Thompson.
I think they pull this one out too. I think it would have been a really interesting game with Klay, and I think it still will be. But I really do think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, although probably kind of rusty, they pull this one off. They have said that Kevin Durant looks very good in pickup games, but they say that about John Wall, and they pretty much say that about anybody. So this should be a good game, even though they will be kind of rusty, and I do think the Nets will take this one.
Yes.
Next, we have the Clippers at LA, which is they're playing the Lakers at home. They're both at home technically, but it's fine. Who do you think takes this one?
Lakers convincingly.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, Clippers just do not have a good chemistry at all. You could tell that last season their coach was messed up, and even though they got a whole new locker room, it's going to take a while for them to blend, especially with the short off season.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lakers are just overall a great team. You have chemistry already, just some few changes, but with the scoring they have on that team with Dennis Schroeder, Anthony Davis, and LeBron, especially LeBron and AD being able to work together really well, and Kuzma apparently going to have a breakout season, it's going to be awesome to see them kill the Clippers.
I think that front court's really big, and the Clippers got Serge Ibaka to kind of help with that. They also lost Montrezl Harrell, though, so that's a big loss for them, going actually right across the street to the Lakers. And your biggest need as the Clippers was some playmaking, right? That's why you signed Reggie Jackson last year to head into the playoffs. You needed some backup point guard playmaking, and they were not able to do that this offseason, which was big for them, especially since the Lakers were able to pick up Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
They really wanted Rajon Rondo. Obviously, he went to Atlanta for that big deal. It was a lot more than they planned on giving him, so they did not end up signing him, but they really wanted him, and they weren't able to get that playmaker on offense.
Rondo was a big piece in that playoff run that they had earlier. I think he shot his career high in 3-point percentage too.
Yeah, he played really well, so that was big for them. But I do think the Lakers take this one on TNT. Then for Christmas Day, which is 3 days after opening day for this crazy season, we have 5 games, and the first one at 12 p.m. Eastern is the Pelicans at the Heat. How do you feel about that one?
Heat take this convincingly, even though Zion is on the Pelicans, and that's definitely why they're playing on Christmas Day. The Heat team is more complete, and they have a lot more chemistry making it to that finals run. Even though losing Jay Crowder was a pretty heavy loss for them, I think that they're going to be able to pull this one out easily. Jimmy Butler's great, Bam Adebayo's great, and Goran Dragic's back too, so it's not going to be that hard for them to take this.
I think it'll be closer than a lot of people realize. I think Brandon Ingram's going to have a big year again, obviously coming off that big contract he signed. I think Zion obviously is going to have a big year also. And I do think Lonzo Ball has a good year this year too. I think they'll be a very talented team, having Steven Adams down low as well. I think it'll be closer than a lot of people think, but I do think the Heat will take this one. Yeah. Next, we have Golden State at Milwaukee. I think this one's pretty obvious for me. I have Giannis and the Bucks taking this one.
I want the Warriors to win because I don't like how the Bucks have been doing things in the playoffs, but I think the Bucks win this with Drew Holiday with that addition. It really helps them. They have a better point guard facilitating-wise, and they have a better, just a whole team built. Now they have Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Giannis, and this defense is going to be very hard to beat. Already coming off of the best defense in the league, it's just going to be even harder for the Warriors to score.
Definitely agree with that. Okay, and then next game we have Brooklyn at Boston. I do think Boston takes this one. A lot more talented than the first team they're playing, I feel like. Well-rounded, better wings. So I do think they take this one. I think Jason Tatum has a big game. Jaylen Brown steps up this year, especially with Kemba missing the first part of the season. And I think they take this pretty, not easily, but definitely in a good fashion.
I do think the Nets could take this game barely because like a 127 or 126. That's just throwing that out there. Because after opening night, you're going to be able to build up some chemistry and stuff. You still got the practice going on. I feel like Kyrie and KD can work together very well. And if they can build up enough steam on that Tuesday game that they will beat the Warriors in, then I have a feeling that they could pull one win out against Boston, which it will be tough to do.
I think it's a tough game, yeah, and I don't think 3 days and 2 games or even 1 game is enough for them to get it together enough to play a team as talented as Boston and in Boston.
But Kemba is out, though.
Kemba is out, yeah, but I do think the talent level on that Boston team is too hard, especially with the not too high in chemistry team in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Next, we have the Mavericks at the Lakers.
This is a good one.
This one's going to be good.
I have the Lakers, though.
Yeah. As much as I think Luka is my MVP pick this year, but I do think the Lakers take this one. It'll be a close game, and LeBron and AD will ball out.
Yeah, the problem with the Dallas Mavericks is that they don't have a center to stop AD, and not a lot of teams have a center to stop AD because AD's amazing, and he's a very great rebounder and scorer. But the problem is you don't stop AD, you don't stop the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Bam was able to do that in the Heat game, so that held him down a bit. But I don't know how they're going to stop him. Porzingis isn't a crazy defender.
No, you're right. I do think, yeah. So it'll be a good game, and we'll see. I think this is the best game on the Christmas slate, so it'll be fun. And then our late night game on Christmas is the Clippers in Denver. I do think the Clippers take this one. I know we've been talking kind of bad about them recently, but the Nuggets are also a good team, but Clippers have a lot of talent over there, and I think Paul George and Kawhi Leonard will get it together this year, especially with 1 year coming off both those huge acquisitions. I think they'll get it together and get this game.
I think the Nuggets got this. They were able to come back down 3-1 against the Clippers last year, and I think they're able to do it again because Jokic is just incredible. Jamal Murray's coming off of an incredible season, like historically speaking, and I think that those two combined, Kawhi and Paul George not being able to get it together, that locker room not being great, if they can't get it together this season, I don't think they're going to be a top 4 seed in the West.
I think even if they have chemistry issues, that team will be good. There's just too much talent on that roster for them not to be good. And I do think they come out with some fire, especially in this game after losing to the Nuggets in that series. So I think that's all the reason for them to win this game.
Even if they lose to the Lakers.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we'll talk about the first big trade, or really the big trade of the week. We have the Russell Westbrook John Wall trade. John Wall and 1 lottery protected first-round pick in 2023 were sent to the Rockets, and Russell Westbrook was dealt to the Wizards in a huge deal of max contracts.
This had to happen if Rockets were going to trade Russell Westbrook because John Wall's the only one with a bad contract that they can match it with. And I find this to be a W for neither team. It's a lateral trade for both teams. You're not getting any younger for the Rockets if they're trying to rebuild. You're not getting any more talented. You're taking more of a risk on John Wall, who's also a very ball-dominant guard. And on the Wizards side of the ball, you have the 5th highest usage rate with Bradley Beal, and then you have one of the highest usage players in history, which is Russell Westbrook. And that could be a very big problem, especially because there's not a lot of shooting on that team either. You have your rookie, Rui Hachimura, who is 29% from 3, which is not good. You have Thomas Bryant, who's not a three-point shooter. But then you also have Davis Bertans and Bradley Beal, who are good three-point shooters. It's going to be a weird team to see, but I think they could pull a 9th seed, max.
I actually do like this trade for the Wizards. They're not going to contend by any means, but this is definitely putting them into playoff contention. I do think they make the playoffs this year with a tandem as good as Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal can play off the ball. It'll be nice to see him play a little bit of that, although he was very high usage last year. I think it'll be interesting to see him in a role similar to how he was when he played with John Wall at a high level. The shooting off that team, the rookies don't really shoot that well, and Thomas Bryant, but you have enough shooting, I think, on that team to have Russell Westbrook and be able to contend for the playoffs. So I do think they compete for 7th, 8th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, but who do they beat? That's my problem. Because you have the Hawks, you have the Bucks, you have the Pacers, you have the Heat, you have the Sixers.
I don't think the Pacers will be too good this year. I do think you beat the Hawks. I think you beat the Pistons. There are a lot of teams you can contend with in the East.
Pistons are making
the lower end. The lower end of the East is very debatable, and I do think they can beat a Bulls team. They can beat a lot of teams in that Eastern Conference. Especially, I think people are underrating Russell Westbrook at this point. He's not a crazy good shooter. He's not built for this day, but he's still a great player by any means. So I think they'll be able to compete. Next, we have
Gordon Hayward. So this is the largest trade exception in history. $28.5 million and two second round picks for the Hornets to sign Gordon Hayward. It's a sign and trade that should have just been just a free agency signing, but Hornets gave him a bag, and they gave up 2 seconds, and they gave up that trade exception, which I feel like Boston could get a better forward with this trade exception, because you're saying you could trade like a $1 million player and for like a really good wing.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think they could trade for a wing. I think you have a lot of wing depth, though. Your top two wings are Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You don't necessarily need to make a huge trade for somebody worth $28 million at the wing position. I think you do go after somebody like Andre Drummond. I know they signed Tristan Thompson in free agency, but Andre Drummond is just another level of rebounding ability and paint or rim protection. So I think he'd be great. I think the Cavs would make that deal, especially with picks attached. And going back to the trade itself, it was a sign-in trade. The 2 second-round picks and Gordon Hayward were traded to Charlotte in order to gain that almost $29 million trade exception. That will be very useful, and we'll see what they do with it. Danny Ainge will be creative and maybe come up with something that none of us expected, which he usually does. But he will probably go towards, what I've been reading is he'll go towards the big, or he'll go towards a backup point guard that can really fill that role, especially with Kemba hurt.
And I feel like, that this Boston team, just watching them, is a very fluid team, and they work together very well. I wouldn't want Andre Drummond on that team because he's slow, but at the same time, they do need rim protection, having Jason Tatum at the 4. So, yeah.
Andre Drummond's a very talented player when put in the right position, and being in Boston, I think he would be able to do what he does well, and I think that would help.
Yeah.
Especially with good defensively. Rebound and block shots. That's all you really need from him. So,
Can't score because he's on my fantasy team.
And then next big thing that we had happen this week was LeBron and AD getting the bag. We got LeBron signing a 2-year, $85 million extension, and Anthony Davis signing a huge 5-year extension with the Lakers to stay. Let's start with Anthony Davis. I don't think there was anything else that would happen with him, other than him maybe signing a shorter-term deal. But with Anthony Davis' injury history, it was just smarter for him to sign that deal.
He even said that he was injury-prone, and that's one of the main reasons why he wanted to sign this deal, which I completely agree with him on this, because you're getting a huge amount of money, obviously.
And most of it's guaranteed, right? So you have that $190 million almost guaranteed in money. Like, what? It doesn't make sense to pass up on that, especially with somebody's injury history like that. And then for LeBron, this is really interesting. It's the largest 2-year contract in NBA history. Fit right for a king, obviously. But 2 years, $85 million. He got the bag real quick to stay in LA for another 2 years. He'll be 38 by the time this deal's up. And his son will actually be graduating high school. So Bronny will be graduating high school when this contract is up. Depending on what they do with the one-and-done rule, they could end up playing on the same team, and he could choose to go where he goes. Where Bronny goes. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And on the Raj Pod, we always do one segment at the end to just like spice things up, not just news. And today we're going to be talking about the new City jerseys that came out about a week ago.
Yeah, we're really excited about these. A lot of them look really cool. We're looking at them now. A lot of cool colorways, a lot of cool representation from these City jerseys, which is always awesome with what Nike does, especially since they took over in 2017 or 2018. They always do a great job with these, so really fun to watch every year and really exciting for me.
We're just going to talk about our favorites and our least favorites here. So my favorite was the Chicago jerseys. I just love the way they look. They are one of the nicest jerseys I've ever seen. I love the theater aspect that they have to them, and just the nice black on the creamish, like orange, yellow, goldish thing, and then the red highlights in the back, kind of like our logo. I like it a lot.
So these actually represent the Chicago Theater in downtown Chicago. It's really nice to see them do that. They have a little "No Little Plans" thing on the side, all representative of the Chicago culture, which is really cool. My favorite jersey this year was the Lakers jerseys. The City editions were absolutely beautiful. It's a nice white, crisp white base with like a light sky blue lettering commemorating the Minneapolis days. It's an absolute beautiful jersey. I love when the teams take colors that aren't usually a part of their
Coda.
That's Coda. But I love when teams take colors that aren't usually a part of their jerseys and incorporate them into City Edition jerseys, and that's what they did here. And to top it off, they released a throwback jersey, Los Angeles blue. It's almost like a Nipsey Hussle type jersey, which is really cool that they were able to commemorate that. Yeah.
Lakers have some of the best jerseys in NBA history.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to go through some of our least favorites.
And my least favorite is the Detroit Pistons jersey. I don't recommend you search it up because it's ugly, but they do the same thing every year. Like, they have that blue on the red, and they have, like, Motor City or something. And it starts to get old, especially for Detroit fans. You probably feel this. It does get very old and boring to see the same weird light blue or weird blue on the same base red. And it's not creative like any of the other ones. It's just kind of a bland jersey to look at. It's not something I would want to buy ever.
Yeah, it's not very representative of anything. It says Detroit, Michigan on the bottom. It's like a circle, and it goes Motor City, and then Detroit, Michigan, and the numbers in the middle. Nothing too special, honestly, coming from Detroit.
So amazing how they did that.
My least favorite, more on the representative side, it's the New York Knicks jersey. It represents New York City subway tokens. Yeah,
I love it.
So, not too amazing. Obviously, there's some representation there, which is cool, but just not that cool. Obviously.
Who represents a token? Like, you
That is
gotta...
actually a big part of New York City. I won't lie. They have a nice New York City emblem on the side. None of these were terrible in my opinion, but this is definitely my least favorite. It says New York Knicks City never sleeps on the side, which is around like the token, which is cool. But
with all that traffic, you're never gonna sleep.
Yeah, but it's crazy. So not that. Yeah. And then, so that's it for today. That was Raj Pod episode 2. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you with the next episode.
Yep. See you guys.
See ya.
Right off the map, when I hit him with this whole 100 round.